The moment I saw her, I knew I was already too late. She hovered above the cratered surface of the abandoned moon, her silver robes catching the dim light of the shattered star. I didn't even have time to wonder if she was alive or a projection. Her eyes glowed, impossibly bright, like twin fragments of a galaxy trapped in a human-shaped shell. And then she looked at me. I froze. My heart pounded so hard I swore the vibration could be felt across the empty lunar plains. "Your eyes are beautiful," I blurted. I hadn't meant to. It was instinct. Pure, reckless honesty. She froze. A shiver ran through her, subtle but unmistakable. The air, or the vacuum, around us seemed to thrum. Silence stretched so long it became unbearable. Then she tilted her head, slowly, almost mechanically, and whispered a sound that wasn't quite a word. Or maybe it was all words, condensed into a single note of astonishment. None of us were prepared for the truth. I had been sent here as a salvage engineer, not a diplomat. My job was to retrieve data cores from the wreck of the Erythraean, an alien freighter that had crashed centuries ago. But something about her presence made the routine protocols meaningless. She was alive, or something like alive, and her gaze pierced me deeper than any weapon ever could. The first time she spoke proper words, I almost fell backward. "Humans, you speak what you see." Her voice was like glass breaking over water, sharp and fluid at the same time. "Why?" I swallowed. "Because, sometimes what we feel can't be hidden." My voice sounded alien even to me. "And I feel awe. Fear. Something I can't name. But mostly, awe." She did not answer. She only regarded me, tilting her head as if measuring my sincerity. And then she vanished. Not walked away. Not teleported. Vanished. My heart stopped. The air grew heavier in a way that made no sense. I thought I had imagined her entirely. But then I saw the residue of her presence, the ground shimmered where she had floated, the dust still suspended in iridescent patterns. What I saw next changed everything. I spent days on that moon, combing the wreckage, and each time I thought of leaving, she returned. Never the same. Sometimes distant, watching from the jagged horizon. Sometimes close, appearing in the corners of my vision like a memory made flesh. Each encounter left me more unsettled, more obsessed. And then I realized, she wasn't here by accident. The data cores. That was her reason. Or someone else's. I found fragments of alien codes etched into the crater walls, partially fused into the lunar rock. Each symbol hummed with energy. The air around them shimmered faintly. And in that hum, I thought I heard her voice. Not spoken, but sent directly into my mind. A question. A warning. Something I didn't yet understand. But that was only the beginning. On the fourth day, she came closer. I had rigged a makeshift shield around my excavation site, a human instinct against alien uncertainty, but she walked through it without hesitation. Her eyes locked with mine, unblinking, unflinching. "You are not like the others," she said. Her tone carried weight, not judgment, but curiosity. "Why are you not afraid?" I swallowed again. My hands were shaking. "Because I have to know. I have to understand. I don't know what you are. I don't know why you're here. But I know I can't just leave." Her eyes softened, or at least, that's what I told myself. The glow dimmed slightly, like distant stars receding behind a nebula. She reached out, and for a moment I thought I might be touched, but instead, the air vibrated. Images flooded my mind, a city orbiting a gas giant, a war that had ended before humans even existed, a consciousness fragmented across light years. And me, standing there, insignificant in comparison, yet somehow, chosen. What was that?" I gasped. She smiled then. Or I imagined it. Her voice was softer, a memory. A truth. "I cannot give you everything. Only enough to see." I realized something then. She was not just alien. She was a vessel of knowledge, a living archive. The weight of what she carried was unbearable. And yet, in her eyes, I saw something entirely human: loneliness. Fear. A longing I could not articulate. Days turned into weeks. I became obsessed with her, with the mysteries she carried, and with the strange connection that seemed to bind us across species, across time, across the void. And then, one day, I found a fragment of a device buried in the crater. It hummed faintly, emitting the same iridescent patterns I had seen in her presence. I recognized it immediately. It was a translator, or perhaps a bridge, built to link human and alien cognition directly. The implications made my stomach turn. This was not a gift. It was a test. And I was at its center. None of us were prepared for the truth. I activated it. The moment I did, she appeared before me in full clarity, more real than ever. Her body shimmered with energy, her eyes brighter than any star I had ever seen. And she spoke, not with words, but with thought, pure and unfiltered. "You are unique," she said. "Most humans would break under this. Most would flee. But you saw me. Not my power. Not my history. You saw me. And that is rare." I could feel my own mind stretching, struggling to keep pace with her consciousness. "Why me?" I whispered, trembling. "Because," she said, and I heard it in my bones, "you are capable of seeing truth without fear. You are capable of compassion." I wanted to laugh. Wanted to cry. My training as a salvage engineer, my mundane human life, it all seemed so insignificant now. And yet, it had brought me here, to her. To this impossible moment where human emotion could touch alien eternity. And then she smiled. Not imagined this time. Real. The kind of smile that could fracture worlds. "Your eyes," she whispered. "You see everything." I realized then what had drawn me to her, what had compelled me to speak the truth in that first instant. The eyes, yes, but more than that, the courage to speak. To confront the unknown with honesty. It was human, painfully human, and yet, it resonated in her in a way I had never anticipated. But the turning point came unexpectedly. A pulse emanated from the data core I had recovered, invisible at first, then growing, consuming the crater in a wave of energy. I was thrown backward, skidding across the jagged lunar surface. The translator device shattered, and with it, the fragile bridge between us. I thought I had lost her. Thought I would never see her again. But then she appeared, standing amid the chaos, untouched, radiant. Her eyes locked onto mine. And in them, I saw a choice. "You can leave," she said. "Return to your world. Forget this place. Forget me." I shook my head, though every instinct screamed for safety. "No. I need to understand. I need you." Her gaze softened in a way that made my heart ache. "Then see," she said. And with emotion, she lifted the entire wreckage of the Erythraean, folding space around it, revealing the hidden depths of the moon, and the truths it had kept for millennia. I saw worlds being born and dying. Civilizations rising and falling. Stars collapsing into themselves. And through it all, her story, a lineage of beings tasked with preserving knowledge, carrying it across time and space, alone and unacknowledged, until a human finally spoke what needed to be said. "What do I do?" I whispered, overwhelmed. "Survive," she said softly. "And remember. Remember what it means to see, and to speak truth." I reached out instinctively, and for the briefest instant, our fingers brushed through the empty space. Electricity, or something like it, surged through me. I had never felt connection like this before, not with any human, not with any being. My chest burned. My mind reeled. And still, the connection held, tenuous, fragile, but undeniable. Then she was gone. I fell to my knees, staring at the empty air, at the lunar dust settling back into place. The moon was silent once more. The wreckage had returned to its lifeless state. And yet, I felt her presence lingering, like a heartbeat embedded in the void. I stood slowly, the words I had spoken echoing in my mind. "Your eyes are beautiful." And I realized, it wasn't just a compliment. It was a bridge. It was a key. It was a truth neither of us could deny. In that fleeting, impossible moment, human and alien, fear and awe, loneliness and connection, all had collided and formed something new, something neither species had anticipated. I looked up at the shattered sky, the dim light of distant suns casting long shadows across the crater, and I knew I would never be the same. My world, my life, my very perception of reality had shifted. And yet, in a way only the human heart can understand, I felt hope. Because she had been silent. She had been inscrutable. She had been danger itself. And I had seen her. I had spoken to her. I had touched a fragment of eternity with nothing but honesty. And for the first time, I understood, the universe was vast. Terrifying. Unknowable. And yet, it could recognize truth. It could respond to courage. It could answer the human heart. I whispered to the empty crater, to the stars, to the memory of her presence, "I'll remember. Always." The wind, or whatever passed for wind here, stirred. Dust twirled like starlight caught in a web. And somewhere, impossibly far away, I imagined her eyes looking back at me, glowing, watching, waiting. And I smiled, because I had learned the most human lesson of all, to speak honestly, even when everything else is incomprehensible. Because sometimes, that is enough. The universe had listened. And she had heard me.